Okay, so now I'm just going to sort of go over a few definitions for republic, and then I'm going to go over State of Texas Jurisprudence Manual and what they say about the republic. I don't know what it is in every state as far as the jurisprudence manuals and what they say, but I know that according to the ordinance and the Constitution, every state in the Union each have their own Republican form of government. So let's look at some of the definitions of republic. I'm sorry, I don't have sources for all of these, but if you pause the video and do like a Google search on a couple of the sentences in here, something usually pops up. Okay, so republic, res publica, the public good, a political community in which the sovereign power is lodged, not in the hereditary chief, but either in certain privileged members, which is an aristocracy, of the community or the whole community. My understanding of the whole community is a democracy. According to the constitution of the governing body, a republic may therefore vary from the most exclusive oligarchy to a pure democracy. The several republics of Greece and that of Rome were, at the outset at least, aristocratic communities. The medieval republics of Venice, Genoa, and the other Italian towns were also more or less aristocratic. The sovereign power was held to be vested in the franchised citizens, and every function, legislative, executive, or judicial, not exercised directly by that body could only be exercised by parties deriving their authority from them. But the extent of the franchise and the mode of exercising, oops, I don't have the rest. Okay, here's republic, a commonwealth. So some states are said to be commonwealths. Commonwealth and republic apparently is the exact same thing. And I've done some other research, and that's what I've come to the conclusion of, that they're the same thing. That form of government in which the administration, not the guesstimation, not the interpretation, the administration, that means that the laws are written and you follow the laws exactly the way they're written. The laws are written to be specific, to be specifically followed in a very specific way. So the way that rules and regulations are followed by the military are the way that republics are supposed to write laws, because the government is supposed to administer the laws, not interpret them. When they write laws to be vague, then they have to be interpreted. But when you write vague laws, you run into a lot of problems. And if you're running a republic, governing a republic, the laws should be administered and they should be written um, precisely so that everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to or not supposed to do. The administration of affairs is open to all citizens. In another sense, it signifies the state independently from its form of government. Republic, commonwealth, a popular state or government, or a nation where the people have the government in their own hands. Let's see what I got here. Let's see. Governance of a republican form of government. The fourth section of the fourth article of the Constitution directs that the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a republican form of government. The form of government is to be guaranteed, which supposes a form already established, because the states have to establish a republican form of government according to the Ordinance of 1787 before they could even enter into the Union. And they enter into the Confederation. And when they enter into the Confederation, they agree automatically to the federal Constitution, which requires them to give up some lands to the United States for the erection of forts, arsenals, magazines, stockyards, so and so, military posts. And this is the Republican form of government the United States have undertaken to protect. Okay, so the United States is to protect it. How do they protect it? With the military. Let's see, have the map there. And we have here, this is Ordinance of 1787. In order for a state to join the Union, okay, it has to have a Republican form of government, provided the Constitution and government so to be formed, which is talking about the states here, that when a state is forming itself into a state, it has to establish a Republican form of government, a constitution of a Republican type, shall be Republican and in conformity to the principles contained in these articles, and so far as it can be consistent with the general interest of the Confederacy, such admission shall be allowed at an earlier period, and when there may be a less number of free inhabitants in the state than 60,000. So you may be able to, still form a. Okay, so in Texas, the federal lands and Indian reservations. So we've got the Bureau of Reclamation, Department of Defense. All of these are basically unconstitutional except for Department of Defense. Department of Defense is really the only um, place that is allowed to purchase lands in a state for military posts. That's what the Constitution says. So all these little blue areas are the total federal areas in the state. I don't know if that's a piece of water. Let's see, where's Camp Swift? Let's see, I know we got Ellington Air Force Base, um, Aransas, what is that? MWR or NWR? I think there was a military post here, but it's been shut down. Corpus Christi Naval Air Station. I know they have a Corpus Christi Army depot here on this same post. Kingsville Naval Air Station. Um, NWR, I don't know what that is. Uh, Camp Bullis, Randolph Air Force Base, Fort Sam Houston, Brooks Air Force Base, Lockland Air Force Base, Lyndon B. Johnson, something, I can't read that, NHP or something. Let's see, Fort Hood. So you get the hint, right? There's some in, let's see over here, Fort Bliss. I know they got one up here. Red River Army Depot. Okay. So those are all the federal lands, constitutional federal lands in Texas. There might be a few pieces that I missed here and there, but yeah, they're small. They're very small. There's hardly anything there. So why are we all following federal laws? They don't apply to us. I don't know how much more I can uh, hit on that point. So this is the Texas Jurisprudence, third edition. Trying to get this to work right. Third edition, which is most recent. One in general, section one or subsection one, statehood generally. Okay, let's see what this says. I can get this to work. Hopefully you can see it. Texas, now listen, now you gotta really pay attention because realize they kind of want you to think something else. But if you really pay attention, you can see it. The Republic of Texas still exists. The Republic of Texas had to exist before it joined the Union, and it had to have a Republican form of government before it joined the Union. It joined the Confederacy on equal footing with the 13 original states, right? As a republic, it had to be a republic before it could join. And then it was protected by the national military, which is the United States. And Article 4, Section 4 of the Federal Constitution says all the state republics are guaranteed protection. Okay, so that's what this is saying, that the Republic of Texas Constitution only stops where the federal Constitution begins. So it didn't do away with it. It didn't repeal it. It didn't get rid of it. It didn't end it. The republics, any of the republics, it couldn't. It only went so far. And how far did it go? Only to those lands, the ones that I just showed you on the map, only to those lands. And when they travel in between those lands and move stuff around and move people around and, do their general federal work, right? Which includes them moving their own mail. Okay, so let's see exactly what Texas says. Texas was admitted as a state of the Union. Okay, we know that because as part of the Ordinance of 1787, all the states had to have a republic constitution before, and other things, but before they joined the Union. So it was admitted as a state of the Union on December 29th, 1845, by a joint resolution of the United States Congress and the Convention of the Republic of Texas. So the Republic of Texas and the United States Congress got together. Why? Because the president, as the commander in chief, had to look over the Republic Constitution, probably decide on what lands he wanted from Texas, how many, acres, what jurisdiction they were going to have over the lands, and maybe some other things that I'm unaware of. They had to, get together and discuss this stuff. I showed you in another video where it showed us that the president of the United States, which means the commander in chief, had to purchase the lands and then acquire the lawmaking power over those lands. And that's what the federal government does. It makes laws for the federal lands inside the states. Okay, so Congress and Republic of Texas with the Republic, thus, with the Republic, thus becoming a state. Not the state of Texas, not Texas. No, the Republic becoming a state on equal footing in all respects with the original states. Okay, so this is this is the sentence that kind of gets people a little bit. Although the government and laws of the Republic were held to be in force until the state government was organized on February 16th, 1846. That does not mean that the Republic disappeared. It just meant that now there's a contract between the Republic of Texas and the federal government on what rights the state of Texas or Republic of Texas was going to keep over the federal lands, even though they promised not to interfere with what the federal government was going to do on the federal lands. So the Republic, the laws of the Republic were in force over all the land until the state government created by the federal government, meaning the military post, until those laws, until that government was organized for those areas on February 16th, 1846. So the contract was between the Republic of Texas and the United States Congress until that contract creating the state of Texas, which was the federal state that the agreement between them on how they were going to do everything between each other was signed. It was ratified or whatever. Or former governmental system was abrogated insofar as it conflicted with federal authority. So only the Republic of Texas only ended when it conflicted with federal authority. So what's federal authority? The federal government Their senators and representatives have to be able to get to the seat of government, and the republic won't stop them unless they committed a felony or something like that. Um, the federal people on the federal lands, just make it short, say the military people, they have to be able to travel in between military posts. They have to be able to travel in between military posts between different states. Does any of this sound familiar as far as the Supreme Court judicial system, not interfering with federal works of citizens of different states, citizens in the same state against another state, or okay, see where I'm going? So insofar as it conflicted with federal authority. So it didn't end, it only ended where the federal government began, which the federal government are like islands in the states, and only had limited um, rights off federal land when traveling in between posts. Okay, so all those things had to be sorted out. And the Constitution and laws of the United States were enforced in Texas, not in the Republic of Texas, because the Republic of Texas, um, the laws of the federal government don't really apply to to the Republic of Texas. Republic of Texas is inside Texas, and the state of Texas is inside Texas, and the federal state is inside Texas. So we have something called sort of like a relational jurisdiction. A jurisdiction, the law making over the different relationships between people. So you have people in the Republic of Texas, you have people in the federal government, you even have private citizens on federal lands who owned their own property that was then handed over to the federal government, but refused to sell their land to the federal government. And they became both federal and state citizens. And they had to pay federal taxes and state taxes. Okay, there were these different situations going on. And even if it was just one person in one state, it had to be administered, it had to be taken care of. So, in the Constitution and laws of the United States were enforced in Texas immediately on its admission as a state. Okay, so when it was admitted as a state, um, the uh, the laws of the federal government then took place over the federal lands, and then the travel in between posts and all that stuff. It was taken care of immediately. The constitutional laws of the United States were enforced in Texas immediately on its admission of the state. So that allowed the federal government to come in and buy some land and acquire jurisdiction over the lands that they bought. And from the map that I showed you, it's very, very small amount of lands. Very few people are actually on these lands. And so the federal laws, for the most part, don't even apply to anybody. Uh, there's nobody to apply them to in the Republic of Texas. So that's why, when one of these public servants ask me to sign something, I don't sign it. I just tell them, look, I'm in the Republic of Texas. So far, they've left me alone. So here again, this is jurisdiction over, or jurisprudence, I forget what it's called. Land under exclusive federal jurisdiction, an island within a state. So this was done during the Eisenhower administration. There's two huge reports. They're really easy to read, interesting, I think, and they give a lot of information about the federal lands, and I think, really coincide with what Ed Rivera teaches, the bar card guy, the attorney. I think lives in California, but he gives a class, and it's basically the same stuff he teaches. There's a few other people out there who teach the same stuff. There's an old guy that was in the military. He teaches this stuff. Um, I don't remember his name either, but he's got a channel on YouTube. So it says certain land areas in the United States are normally under exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government. So land areas in the United States are normally under exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government. So it's kind of saying the federal government lands are under the control of the federal government, is basically what it's saying. Um, it's for some reason they kind of mix up words, and so they say United States and federal government in the same sentence when the two things are really the same. So it gets confusing for people. State courts usually dismiss lawsuits when a resident of such an area is a party on the ground that land under exclusive federal jurisdiction is not part of the state. Okay. There, and we went over the jurisdiction codes. There's 5 of them. And I'll end this video here so it doesn't get too long. So let me know if you guys want some things posted like these books, or you want more information, or you want me to explain something a little bit more. If I can, I will. So go ahead and leave comments, like, share, subscribe, and let's let's start heading towards freedom at least a little bit more.